King Solomon had a ring. According to a book written in his own name, that ring could force a demon to stand in front of him and answer whatever he was asked. He did not use it to see the future, or to get rich, or to protect himself. He used it to staff a building site. It starts with a boy. He carries tools for the craftsmen at the temple in Jerusalem. Every evening he hands over half of what he has earned, not to a foreman, to something that comes for it at sunset. And every morning there is a little less of him, the color going out of his face, the weight coming off him, and he cannot say what is doing it. The king hears about it and finds out what is taking the boy apart. It has a name, and it becomes the first thing he ever puts that ring on. What he does with it after that is the part almost nobody tells you. It ends with the most sacred building in that religion going up on a workforce that did not want to be there, in complete silence, with the king of the demons in a chain in the corner of the yard. And then, once, for a reason that made sense to him at the time, he took the ring off. Start with the one that was taken from the boy, because the text names him Ornias. The account says he came at sunset, and what he took was not only wages, it describes him drawing the life out of the boy through his hand, a little each night, the way you would draw water. Solomon does what a king does. He asks. Nobody on the site can help him, so he prays about it. And the answer that comes is not advice. The archangel Michael brings him a ring with a seal cut into it and tells him what it is for. He waits for sunset. He uses it. And here the story does something you would not expect, and it is the hinge of everything that follows. He does not destroy Ornias. He does not send him away. He puts the ring on him and he starts asking questions. Who are you? What do you do? What are you afraid of? Who is above you? That last question is the one that changes the shape of the whole thing, because the moment he asks it, this stops being a rescue. It becomes a chain of command, and Solomon has just found the bottom of it. What he does next is methodical, and it is closer to running a company than to a ritual. He sends Ornias to bring the next one, and that one names the one above him, and so on upward, each spirit forced by the seal to give up the name of its superior. Each one is brought in front of the throne, questioned, and made to say three things: what it is called, what it does to people, and what stops it. Then, one after another, they are put to work, not tortured, employed. The text describes them hauling, carrying up the slope, lifting blocks no crew of men could lift, holding them in place while they are set, working the parts of the site where ordinary labor could not go. One is put on the furnaces, one is sent for water, one is given work that would have killed a man in a week. The most sacred building in the history of that religion, the house meant to hold the presence of God, is going up on a workforce of the unwilling, held in place by a signet ring, and it is working. The walls are rising. The king has solved his labor problem completely. Then he runs into something the ring cannot touch. The problem is in the Bible, in a single line about the construction, and it is one of the strangest sentences in the book. 1 Kings chapter 6 verse 7. The stone was made ready before it was brought there, so that no hammer, no axe, no tool of iron was heard in the house while it was being built. Not that the work was quiet. That iron was never heard at all. The reason goes back centuries to a rule given at the mountain long before there was a temple. If you build an altar of stone, do not use your tool on it, because the moment your blade touches it, you have profaned it. Iron is what a sword is made of. You do not bring the metal of killing into the place of atonement. Fine for a small altar of rough field stones. Now apply it to this. Foundations, courts, walls, an inner room joined so tightly the seams are meant to disappear. every block squared and faced and matched to the one beside it. And here is why the ring does not help him. A demon can lift a stone. A demon can carry it up a hill and hold it in place while it is set. None of that cuts it. He can command anything that has a name. He cannot make the rock open without a blade. And the whole project stops on that. The answer the old rabbis give is not a technique. It is a creature. They call it the shamir. Small, they say, about the size of a grain of barley, and old, made at twilight on the eve of the first Sabbath, in the last minutes of creation, on a short list of things that were built to break the rules of the world. What it does is this: nothing hard stands in front of it. Pass it over stone, and the stone opens. Pass it over iron, and the iron parts. There is no blow, so there is no sound. It is an answer shaped exactly to fit the hole in the verse. Cut stone, no tool, no noise. They even describe how it had to be carried because nothing could hold it. Not iron, not any vessel, since it would open whatever contained it. So it was wrapped in wool and kept in a tube of lead packed with barley bran, and even that was temporary. A cutting edge older than tools, carried in a lead pipe full of grain. So that is what he needs. And here the story turns, because for the first time the king with the ring is not in a strong position. He does not have it. He does not know where it is, and nobody in his court does either. He asks the spirits. That is what the ring is for. They do not know, but they know who does. There is one above all of them, and his name is Ashmedai, and he is called the king of the demons, and he does not live where the others can be summoned from. The account of what happens next is oddly practical, and that is what makes it land. Ashmedai keeps a pit in a mountain filled with water, covered with a stone, and sealed. He drinks from it, and every time he comes, he checks the seal before he touches it. So Solomon sends his commander, Benaiah, with 3 things: a chain and a ring, both cut with the divine name, wool, and skins of wine. They drill into the rock beside the pit, low down, and let the water run out through the hole. They stop the hole with the wool. They fill the pit back up with wine. They put the cover back, and they leave the seal exactly as it was. Then they wait. He comes. He checks the seal. It has not been touched. He is thirsty. He drinks, and he sleeps, and the chain goes on him. To finish the house of God, the wisest man who ever lived had to get the king of the demons drunk in a hole in a mountain. And now the thing that has only been described gets used. The old texts never describe the morning it was used. They only tell you what it could do. Picture the quarry out in the hills away from the city, a block already freed from the bedrock, lying on its side, rough on every face, a line marked on it in soot where it needs to part. A man kneels beside it holding a lead tube packed with grain. He tips it, and something small comes out into his hand, wrapped, and he draws it along the line once, the way you would draw a finger through dust. The stone opens behind it, not a crack that runs and jumps the way stone cracks. A clean parting, following the line exactly, edge to edge. And the thing you would notice standing there is what you do not hear. No chisel, no hammer, no grinding. 2 halves of a block the weight of a wagon, faced smooth, and the loudest sound in the yard is the men breathing. Then the demons lift it and carry it and set it into the wall beside the last one, close enough that a blade will not go between them. That is the whole picture, and it is worth holding for a second. The stone cut by a thing older than tools. The stone carried by things that had to be forced, and a man in the middle of it wearing a ring with the king of the demons in a chain in the corner, and the walls going up in silence. He has never been closer to running the world. The building is finished. Ashmedai is still there, still chained, and Solomon keeps him. Then one day the king asks him a question. He asks what makes them greater than men, since he has this one in irons and can do as he likes with him. And Ashmedai gives him an answer. "Take the chain off me," he says, "and give me your ring, and I will show you." And he does it. What happens next takes one sentence in the original. The demon swallows the ring, puts out his wings, and throws him, and the distance given is enormous. Then he takes Solomon's place, on Solomon's throne, in Solomon's shape, ruling in his name, and nobody notices. The wisest man who ever lived spends the years after that walking from town to town, telling people he used to be king over Israel, and being laughed at, because everyone can see the king, and the king is where he has always been. Read what that story is actually doing. He did not lose it to an army, or to a rival, or to a son. He lost it because he was curious, and he took the chain off himself. One note before the end. If you have heard this story before, you have probably heard a number, 72, and a sealed brass vessel, and a catalog of names and seals. That catalog is real, but it is not ancient. It is a grimoire that takes its final shape in the 1600s, more than 1,000 years after the Greek book. And it is tidy in a way none of the old accounts are. In the old ones, nobody is in control. The strangest part of all of this is how ordinary it sounded to people who were not that far from it. A historian writing for a Roman audience in the 1st century states that Solomon left behind methods for subduing spirits and that they were still being used in his own time. Then he describes watching a man draw a spirit out of another man in front of the emperor and his officers with a ring. He names who was standing in the room. The Bible gives you the building site. It gives you the silence and the measurements of the rooms. It never gives you the ring. The stones are the part nobody argues about. They are still there, under the platform in Jerusalem, cut square and set so close you cannot get a blade between them. And there is one more thing about that ring, in a different set of texts. What was actually cut into the seal, and what that name was supposed to do. That is the next one. Make of that what you will.